Yeah.
Hi,
Hello,
folks.
everybody. Do you want to get started, Simran and Asil?
I think I'll get started. Um, welcome everyone. This is our second talk out of a three-part series to basically work with what we have in the current situation, but also in general life, and how to transform that to, no matter what the situation is, no matter what the circumstances, to a stronger presence and to a stronger balance, because you are needed to be in that state for all the others that are around you and for the world. So that's our gift to you, and to assist you and to guide you wherever we can, to support you through a process of presencing and giving you the tools that we have so far experienced and practiced and used. So, Crystal, maybe you say a couple words.
Yeah, Asil, I'm seeing some new faces, so I just want to acknowledge that there are some folks that I haven't seen before, as well as some of our favorites, like Osher's here. But
Mhm.
welcome to everybody that we don't know. Folks like Juliet and Alexandra, and who is this one with the amazing background? She's got a wilderness. Looks
Oh,
like
great. I'm going to
that.
switch to
So
gallery view so I have all the faces.
exactly. Welcome
Hello.
to everybody. Hi. So my name is Crystal. I'm part of the Ascension One Collective, which is a 501c3 charity that is established to support Asil's work. Thank you again, Simran, for co-hosting this series. Last week, for those of you who were here, we discussed the concept of finding inner alignment. And today we're going to talk more about cultivating resilience. Asil, as a healer and a channeler, is no stranger to resilience. His work includes energetic alignment of both people and places, and also channeling celestial and angelic beings. So his work throughout the world has been a training ground, I would say, for resilience. And today he's going to take us through a little bit of his perspective on resilience, the channel's perspective on resilience, and we'll enter into this conversation first by doing a short meditation, then open up the conversation around cultivating resilience, our own resilience around this time. So sit back and enjoy, everybody.
Thank you, Crystal. Thank you, Simran. And thank you to Canopy to making this available and possible. So I'm going to invite all of you first and foremost to get to a state where we can create the space together of connection and gathering that is energetically and emotionally, mentally safe. For that, I'm going to invite you to close your eyes. Take a couple of deep breaths. Feel how this breath is filling up all your cells, all your organs, your brain, your limbs. Take another deep breath. Visualize for a moment how it feels like when your root when your legs are stretching down into the earth to really ground, reach your roots all the way down deep into the earth, and solidify yourself with the presence of this planet that provides for us. Your connection, not just the nourishments that we receive from this earth, but the love and the energy, the feeling of home. Deeply rooted in this presence, we receive from her. Let your roots pull in some of this magnificent energy of the earth into your body. And if it helps, breathe with every breath, pull in more energy into your system. And see how your entire body fills with this newly found, maybe newly reconnected love. And from this place, imagine branches or a connection going up further through your head, through your upper body, up into the sky, towards the sun, even further towards the universe, towards the center of the universe, and towards the center of all existence. And allow these branches to connect with this light that's also available. And take a deep breath to allow this light to fill your body, to come through these branches and to fill your being. And we acknowledge how both energies from below and above are centering in ourselves. With this centering, I open up my mind and my heart to be present, to be in a state of compassion and love and receptivity. Our intention is to create a safe space for everyone and to share, and to be seen, to be heard. And with that, I take another deep breath. And open your eyes whenever you feel ready. Thank you for joining us all today. It's a beautiful and sunny day in California. It could not be more picturesque. And today, I look at all the things that I have and that are available to me. And I have deep gratitude for everything that is right now here in my field. Every moment in this human body, in this human form, is truly an opportunity to experience what it means to be human. What I will share with you today, some of it might be soothing, some of it might be triggering, and some of it you may take on, some of it you may try on. Whatever works for you is good enough for me. So, when I talk about resilience, I'm not talking about the toughness of being a Navy SEAL or a soldier. When I talk about resilience, I talk about expanding your capacity to witness what is in front of you, what is in front of me. Your capacity to receive even more, no matter how difficult it is, to observe. And that does not mean not feeling what comes up in you. It does not mean not having thoughts or judgments or opinions, because that will naturally come up. To me, it is an ability to observe and to witness all that is arising within me, and my ability to transform that rather than the emotions or the thoughts becoming the driver of my moment. And for a brief period, that might be true, that our emotions take us in a certain way, or our thoughts might take us on a wild ride. And even that can be observed. So, what is fascinating is that many of us have never experienced difficulties of this kind in our world, and some of you may have, but I would guess that most of us have not. So how does one deal with an extraordinary situation that we have never experienced before, a level of stretch that we have never felt before, if our standard being of operation has been used to a certain way? Our normal was different a couple months ago, a couple weeks ago, a couple days ago. Our normal now changes maybe on an hourly basis. So as Crystal was mentioning, I've traveled to many places, including war zones and places of heavy trauma And I've dealt with the emotions that come up when I'm about to enter a country that is potentially not safe for me or safe for my work that I do. It may not be safe for the people that come along with me. I've been to Iraq in December. It was not a safe time to go. I've been to Syria about a year and a half ago. And even a couple months ago, end of December, I was arrested in a Middle Eastern country and spent some time in prison. All because I talked to angels. Now, I wouldn't say life is easier just because I've experienced these things. But what is true for me, there is a level of stretch that I've experienced that normalizes difficult situations for me. And it allows me to observe a situation without immediately being pulled into a fight or flight mode or into a survival mode. And this is where I want you to get to. Can you observe what is happening around you and not be pulled into an immediate reaction that is survival, and an immediate reaction that is fear of death, fear of death of loved ones, fear of change? I love my life. I don't want to die. I love this human experience. And still, the discernment is, how attached am I to this life to the point where I'm not living to my fullest potential? Resilience is the ability to push further in your capacity to receive, so that when we see suffering or pain, or when we experience suffering or pain, we have the ability to fully feel it, to fully experience it in our minds, in our hearts, in our bodies. And even that experience becomes a tremendous gift. Now, that is a hard thing to accept as a truth, to see someone suffering and observe it as a gift. It is challenging to see humans dying and to understand that you may or may not. You may suffer or you may not in this whole process. So how does one go about stretching, right? So the way I deal with that personally is, when a strong emotion comes up, when I feel that an innate fear of survival is triggered within me, an innate fear of losing someone else is triggered within me, and I start to feel this contraction, I start to feel the reduction that is immediately a survival response, I go and sit with that. I observe where it's coming from. And where was the first time I felt and I saw and experienced this particular feeling of survival? And my ancestors when did they experience this particular feeling of survival? It's epigenetics. Some of it is inside of me because of my lineage. I observe in which ways I am the person that I am because of the fears that have identified me and the lessons that have not been fully completed. And so I go back to these moments. For me, it was easy to put my life at risk to go to Iraq, but it was very difficult for me to put other team members' lives at risk, to have them come with me. And that was my stretch, right? It was my stretch to feel responsible and at the same time doing the best that I can to make sure everyone is safe. So that is on a mental and an emotional level. On a much higher level, there is a deep trust that I believe that I'm taken care of. I believe that we are going to be safe when we are entering in a situation that does not seem safe for any rational minded person's eye. So what does one do? To me, this continuous reflection and deeper dive inside has helped me to transform traumas of the past, emotions of the past, in the way my memories and my experiences have shaped these feelings, and they stayed on with me. And that's the way I do it. I meditate with it, I sit with it. I see if I can come to a place of alignment, if this contraction can let go. And if I feel again expanded from this transformation and at a larger capacity even. And what this capacity does is it allows you to be present, not just for yourself, but also for others. It allows you to be present in the moment. I believe that if I'm present and if I can be available for all those around me, then, man, I'm doing the best I can. I'm being that what I have promised to be. A pillar of light. And I'm not perfect. I don't claim that I can do this at all the time, at all times. Yet the intention is set. The intention is set that I have vowed to be that person, that I have aligned my life's purpose to be that person, to be a better version of myself. And I wonder how many of you have done something similar, a similar vow, a similar vow to be the best version of yourself, continuously expand, and take these contractions as a sign to transform. So, at which point does survival and fear kick in? To me, this is resilience. Resilience is the ability to expand your capacity and still be present no matter what the circumstances are, especially if they're ever-changing circumstances. Becoming aware, but not triggered. Do you understand the difference? So with that, I think I'd love to open it up maybe to some questions or short sharings that people have. Crystal, would you like to,
Yeah,
or
let's.
maybe you have some questions, Crystal?
Well, in the meantime, I do have something to add that comes up as a result of you speaking. But in the meantime, if anybody has a question, feel free to raise your hand in the Zoom call, or if you're not familiar with the tech, with Zoom tech yet, um, then go ahead and type it in the chat, and then we can call on you if you want to speak it out loud. So, what this reminds me of when you were first starting to talk about observing. It reminds me of when I was reading The Untethered Soul, and there was this conversation that was invited of like, who's doing the observing? Uh,
Mm-hmm.
you know, there's somebody always observing your experience or something, your higher self, right? And just kind of like pulling back the layers of, well, who's observing that? Well, who's observing that? Well, who's observing that? Is that something that is helpful in building resilience, or is that just a way to get above the feeling of fight or flight?
That's great. I think the higher self already has a very strong resilience. So if you can even just come to that perspective of the higher self, then you will already have gained incredible additional capacity and additional perspective. Now, there is an even more powerful way to get even to higher perspectives, and the channeled beings that I talk to, they would say, listen and see with the eyes of the universe. And it's really interesting. That's a much higher perspective, right? You're watching at life, at your own life, at humanity's existence from a much, much higher perspective, even at the situation in front of you. You may even look at it from a place of non-duality, meaning there is no good or bad. You're just observing the situation. That can be extremely helpful to get that perspective. Now, I don't recommend to live continuously in non-duality in a dual world where we have polarity and we have to make judgments in order to drive in a certain way. But it is very helpful to sometimes switch into that mode, to get a fresh perspective that is operating from a much higher perspective than we're used to.
Yeah, I liked what you said about not becoming tough. We're not becoming Navy SEALs here, because that feels like a
You might. That's
resilience
also okay.
expansion in being present. Well, does anybody have any experience themselves around what it means or what it feels like to be resilient? Have you had any experiences, even in this changing, challenging, tumultuous time? Have you had any experiences coming through and saying, "Oh yeah, this is me practicing resilience"? And if so, how?
Yeah.
Phil? Yeah, I see Phil raising his hand.
Yeah, I mean, this happened last night, and I think it's a testament to what Asil started with, which is this is not Navy SEAL work, which was I was with my dog, who's 13 and a half and in a lot of pain these days. Um, and he's truly like one of my closest partners in like throughout life. And uh, last night I felt this huge constriction when I was with him, the tightness, and I wasn't sure where it was coming from, and then eventually it just like broke through his grief for his pain and the inevitable end of his life that's going to come at some point. I don't know when, but and he immediately jumped up and started licking me on the face, and it felt like this fluidity in my soul and being that came through. And I think that's the resilience. It's not tough to sit there and like the past version of myself would have like, I don't think I would have had that vulnerability to allow that to come through. I would have just sort of physically forced it. I would have held it in and then maybe had another expression that was another physical release, or even done it through meditation, and through a sort of a spiritual bypassing. And this was like really being like looking at the pain and sitting with the pain, and then waiting for it to speak to me in a way. And then when I truly heard what it wanted me to do with it, allowing that to happen and not holding back and not resisting it. And so I think that's been a new realization for me about resiliency and strength, is in absolute vulnerability, being able to go wherever the universe wants you to go to evolve. So that's a little quick one that was like top of mind and from last night. So
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Bill. Definitely makes a lot of sense to me. And it resonates. Vulnerability, right? So for me to be able to feel what comes up and to have the thoughts arise and not judging the judgments that come up, really being present to what is arising. And when you really open up yourself to it, then it has an opportunity to transform. It has an opportunity to bring a gem to you, because I believe all of these experiences are uncut gems. They are raw gems. They just need to be looked at much closer and much deeper, and maybe polished.
Yeah, I also wanted to hear your perspective. Something that just came up for me this week was observing an emotion, and I'm sure especially those who have compassion, those who are considered empaths, you've got a lot coming at you and you're not really sure, you just got this wave of emotion. And for me, it was around my sister. My sister's on the front lines, and things are heating up at UCSF, and she's a physician, and she's been kind of preparing for this for so long. And I've been feeling, because I'm tied to her, I've been feeling this energy coming from her. And for me, it felt almost like, it felt unbearable. But in sitting with it, I realized that it wasn't mine. And there was something about the fact that it wasn't mine. And I recognized that gave me some relief and helped me to recover.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just something that I experienced this week. I didn't, maybe you have a perspective on it, Asil.
Yeah, I think what's interesting is very often we are emotionally tied to the people that we love. People that are really close to us, we almost feel their emotions. We feel their anxiety, we feel their sadness, we feel their anger, and we feel when they're a threat, right? I mean, who has experienced that, right? So it's in this moment, right? Even if you are resilient, even if you are holding it together, you're going to feel the aspects of your loved ones. And then from that, even very widely empathic individuals can feel societies, they can feel the entirety of humanity, like the consciousness field of humanity, and the emotions that are arising within that. Now, recognizing that it is not you, but it is connected to you. And you have an ability to feel it, you have an ability to be vulnerable to it, and you have an ability to observe it in a much different and higher perspective. And I believe there is a way to observe and to transform it within you, which will have an effect on her. When she sees that you are holding in a compassionate way, stable, that you're hearing her and seeing her, no matter what arises for her, and you can hold space for her. This is when you're doing your service for her. It's not going to make a difference for her if you derail because she is in anxiety or fear, right? It might actually take her further down. It might her feel like, oh, I'm not going to share with her because then she's going to feel worse than if I share with her, right? But if she feels like she's being heard, but at the same time, it is not impacting you the way it's impacting her, like taking you down if she is down,
Right.
then she has the freedom to share.
That's great. We are at 4:37.
Great. Let's bring in more questions.
So
Reflections, sharings, whatever comes up for you.
anybody else feeling called? Yeah, Victoria, go ahead. Victoria.
Hi.
Yep, good.
Yeah, hi everybody. Yeah, so much has been going on, I guess, for all of us, especially if you are empathic. And the art of being the witness is something that I had a conception of, for many, many years. And now through this dedicated work and the transmissions that I'm receiving from multiple sources and my own practices, I'm actually being able to be the witness, and I thank all of you for sharing and being with that. And it's these meetings like this and being able to look, at all of your faces, and even just seeing your names, just knowing that we're an expanding, morphic field of humanity that is truly on the path of wanting to be in the world that we always knew we could have and that we could inhabit. And I'm seeing that more and more. I do have to catch myself because sometimes I feel like I'm kind of manic and I'm so happy and elated. And I have to sometimes remember that, there might be people around me when I'm not home because I'm going to the grocery store or whatever that aren't having that same experience. And I'm really trying to honor them and their space, and actually learning to bring my joy and excitement almost down a little and turn that into compassion and give that person who I can see and feel is struggling more compassion. So that's been a real gift.
That's great, Victoria. Thank you for your share.
Yeah.
Sanja as well had something that she wanted to share. Sanja, you want to unmute yourself?
Yes, hello. Hi, Asil. Hello from Vienna.
Oh, Vienna.
Yes, so I've been locked here for almost 4 weeks.
Wow.
And I used to have the feeling that like I'm on a spiritual retreat, like extended meditations and doing all my spiritual practice. It was feeling wonderful. But after 3 weeks, there comes the point then you realize, well, I used to go to spiritual retreats. They have a beginning and an end, but
Yes.
we don't know when the end will come. So this is the difference, definitely. So this feeling of uncertainty and at the same time a feeling like the lady before just mentioned, a feeling that I'm not alone in this, and there is something very big going on. Some very big change is coming upon us. I was also reminded of my, I'm coming from Croatia, so I went through this wartime in Croatia. And when you, Asil, first talked about this, how to deal with the resilience, I immediately switched to that extreme state situation where you don't know when the bomb will come or something like that. The other experience which I very strongly connect with this time is I survived in a car accident, and I actually left my body after this accident. So this was 7 years ago, and since then I really feel that I was given another life. So my feeling of possible death, or I don't have this fear, right? There is no fear of death coming, but I feel so much fear around me. There is so much anxiety and fear, and you want to help somehow, but you cannot. I'm bounded. I'm in my own bubble, so to say. What I can do, if somebody can vibrate with me, I will share with him or help him. So I just wanted to add to this, how is it going on with me in this situation.
Thank you for sharing that. And actually, you came to my mind when I was talking about this. And for people that have experienced war, or people that have experienced famine, or even like previous generations of you that have experienced these kind of very difficult times in human existence.
This is actually important, because this was kind of, I feel it now, it was at that stage of my life, which was like 25 years ago. It was actually a preparation in order to easier deal with the current. So it's another stage, so to say. But also one thing is so encouraging to see you all, and to see that so many people are turning to spirituality. And one of these signs is the upcoming, I heard about this, there will be a global meditation. I hope you will folks join. And this is a very, very good thing. So I think we are doing right thing now.
Thank you, Sandra. Thank you for your share.
Welcome.
Asil, did you want to say anything more about that?
Yeah, so what I wanted to share is challenges have the possibility to make us stronger, or they have the possibility of breaking us. And sometimes we break and then we are rebuilt, and sometimes we are rebuilt stronger. And sometimes it takes time for us to rebuild and realign. And I think this is where the observation comes in. Where am I in the state of experiencing the moment? What is it doing to me? Is it taking me down? Is it breaking me? And what needs to be broken within inside of me so that it can be rebuilt to be stronger? And where am I rigid? Like, what are the parts of me that are rigid? Because According to Lao Tzu, everything that's rigid is close to death and will break. Everything that's flexible is alive and thriving. And so nature has a tendency to continuously adjust to the circumstances, always. And even in nature, things are not always certain, right? So if we don't have certainty, because certainty is in some ways implanted as an illusion in our minds, based on the environments that we have created and based on the ability that we can control to a certain degree our environment, we've created this illusion of certainty and reliability, right? And suddenly we don't have it. And one then just moves from moment to moment, from day to day.
Yeah.
And you adjust to it like as it comes. You stay flexible the way nature is.
That's great. I love that we came around to that. Thank you, Sanja, especially for your share around cumulative trauma creating some sort of resilience, especially, you know, going into this weekend where maybe we have a little downtime. I don't know if anybody has a weekend anymore, but in this time where people aren't calling us and we don't have our 9 a.m. huddle calls or what have you, I'm wondering if we can be in the question of what wants to be released, and for whatever's gone from our scenarios, what would we want to invite back into our lives anyway? So just maybe more of a whimsical question when you're in your quote unquote weekend this week.
So I think we're coming towards the end of our time. Am I right?
Yes.
What I would like to give to you as a closing is the strongest force in your life and the strongest power in your life is in your present moment. There is no past is gone and the future doesn't exist. So, and now even more than ever, the future is uncertain, right? People would say, oh, I know what's going to happen in the next month. But now no one can say with reliable, credibility. So we are realizing more and more that the present moment is like the most important and the most powerful moment that we have. In this present moment, I feel what's happening to me. I know what I'm experiencing. I know the reality that I have around me. And there are certain things I have control over. That is the way my thoughts operate, the way my heart operates, and the way I operate my body to move in this reality. And that's all in this present moment. And there is an ability to shift the moment every single time. And I would like for you to explore that when you get into a state of being, to try different methods of shifting that state of being. Try breathing, and try going inwards, try going into nature, try exercising, and try drinking water. Try different things, try visualizations. So with different techniques that are available, with an intention that you set for yourself, you can transform the moment. And I can guarantee you, every transformed moment will add to your resilience. Every transformed moment will expand on your capacity. So I will suggest that we close with a short meditation. So I invite you to close your eyes. Take a deep breath. And let all that has come up in information and emotions, let in what wants to be let in, let go of what wants to be let go. Feel the connection that is still present with your roots and the earth. Feel the connection of the branches above into the universe and the energy and the light that comes from there. Feel how it all centers in your center, in your being. In this very moment, through your breath, through the sensations of your body, you are here. You are having a human experience. Take another deep breath. Thank yourself for making it this far and further with every step, one step at a time. Thank to all of those that were present here with us, for holding this space and for holding this container for each other, for ourselves, and for all our loved ones. And acknowledge that you alone and the way you transform can make a difference in the world. Take another deep breath and open your eyes whenever you're ready. Thank you all for joining us, and I wish you a beautiful rest of the day, whatever that looks like, and a beautiful weekend, whatever that looks like, and what a beautiful life if we never see each other again.
But we will be back next Friday.
Yes, if there is a next Friday. Yes, of course. We will be here as long as we can. We will continue to provide and support.
There's a transmission tomorrow morning, right?
There is yes. So for those that have never seen my actual work, it's a bit more, let's say, out there. It's a bit more intense. And that's when I go into a trance and I embody these light beings, and they speak through me and they provide some sort of energetic transmission. If you're curious, you can join. There is a session tomorrow at 10 a.m. Pacific time, and it's on our Facebook, and Crystal can post the link here.
Yeah,
There is also, it's in there?
Yes, I posted it in there.
Thank you so much, Crystal. And there is also global meditation happening, I think 7:45 p.m. Pacific time. It's going to be all around the world. A lot of big spiritual teachers are joining, and it's a meditation, prayer, collective. Great. Let's do it.
All right. Well, thanks again for everybody joining in, and I hope this was a good end to your hectic week. I hope this was a good end to your week and you're not going back to work on things. Yeah. Thanks for coming, and hopefully we'll see you next time.
Thank you so much.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. Everyone that's here from Canopy, it's really good to see your faces. And I hope that we can see you again next Friday.
Yes. And you can unmute everyone so everyone can say goodbye.
Thank
All
you.
right. Unmute
Thank you,
all.
Asil.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks for joining.
Much love.
Bye.
Love. Bye.
Bye. And Anthony, if you're still on, the link to the global meditation, I can find it for you in Facebook. Hold on, let me get it for you.
Okay. I would like it as well.
Yes, it's a global meditation that's organized by Unify. Called Global Unity Prayer or Global Unity Meditation.
Okay.
I'm just going to send you to the Facebook. It's all over their Facebook. So put this in. Hi, David. See, you're still on.
Hi.
Thanks.
It's global unity, you said, right?
Yes.
I think that's the one I already joined, but I'll double check.
Great.
Okay, love you guys.
Love you too.
Pleasure.
Go out for the sunset, Asil. It's
We will
fabulous.
certainly be out there for the sunset.
Okay.
I go to sleep now.
Yes, Sandhya. Please go to sleep.
Go to sleep. What time is it in Austria?
Now it's 2 a.m.
Definitely go to
I
sleep.
pray in the afternoon in order to be here now.
Very well. Thank you so much for doing that, Sandhya.
Yeah, I was very glad to be here and hope to be next Friday also.
I look forward to that.
Yes.
If you're awake.
Bye-bye.
Bye,
Bye.
Sandhya. Bye-bye.
Mhm.